was just a confirmation window.
Oh,
now
sorry. Now we're okay.
Broadcast has started now.
Broadcast has started. There was an thing that I didn't see. So
live
now we are live, and we are 3 hours late, and we are talking about Star Trek with Skeptok and the One-Ton Hammer, and we were talking about how the Ferengi kind of ruined Deep Space Nine for Hammer. It sounds like Skeptok was kind of the same opinion, and I think the Ferengi could have been a really good species because they kind of touched on how they used to, they are like how humans used to be, and they could have done a really interesting take with that, but they chose to kind of make them the idiots of the universe, which is kind of unfortunate because it could have been a really good contrast between humans of the 24th century and the Ferengi, because there are a few, like even Riker says in the episode The Last Outpost, that they are like we once were.
And that the other problem with that is that if they're so incompetent and so petty, how do they have starships that rival the Enterprise?
Yeah,
that makes sense, does it?
They're purely capitalist, but how does a society function on pure capitalism? Like I don't want to be one of those, oh, boo on capitalism, because capitalism works. But if you're going to do all capitalism, I don't know, you probably haven't gotten to that episode yet of Deep Space Nine where you're actually on the Ferengi homeworld.
Ferenginar.
This is my third time through DS9.
Okay, so when they go to the Ferengi homeworld for the first time, when Quark and Rom's mother is in shit for earning profit.
Right.
You see how brutal it is. How can any species get to space when they're that, like you said, when they're that single-minded and that, do you know what I mean? It's
poor writing.
Yeah, which is hard to say about Star Trek because there's so much good writing.
What's the thing with the Ferengi? The way that they got the warp drive was they bought it, right?
I think so, yeah.
Buy the technology off the Romulans, right?
I think that is right. I think that's what I remember.
They didn't buy a warp drive. They invented warp drive like every species did.
The warp technology.
Right, but once they understood how to do it, instead of trying to figure out how to make it better and faster like humans did with Vulcan help, they said, okay, well, now that we understand how warp drive works, let's go out and buy the best one we can find.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a big assumption, but it would make sense.
Yeah.
It's not quite as dangerous, but almost as dangerous as the Packlids. And
We're looking for things.
I bring up the Packlids because Pinkalo loves the Packlids.
I love the Packlids too.
He wanted me to talk about the Packlids.
They're so funny. We look for things.
Things that make us...
Let's go.
Yeah.
That's great.
We are smart.
Oh man, that is a great group.
And then of course lore happens upon them and gets them to take him around space for a few years. I would have loved to see an episode with Lore dealing with the Packlids. How did Lore deal with the Packlids without killing them?
Yeah, even with smart people, everyone's beneath him. Even with smart people, you can imagine how somebody who's completely horrifically stupid is. But yeah, I've like I said, I'm going through DS9 now, trying to rewatch it just because of the argument I had with Polydub about it. I wanted to try to give it a second chance, and I know I have my bias with the Ferengi, but I'm going to try to put that aside and just watch the show for all the other things that are supposedly great about it that he mentioned to me. So see if I can find a way to find a better opinion of the show. Part of this all right around the back of my head that it's basically a ripoff of Babylon 5. You know the backstory and all that, right?
Yeah, and it's well, I'm watching Deep Space Nine because I tried watching it when I was a kid, and I was a kid, so I didn't get it. Right? It was boring. But I'm watching it now, and there are some episodes that I really like, and then there are some episodes that I'm like, okay, is this over yet? But I don't want to skip it because I haven't I don't have any memory of the whole series, so I want to actually watch all the episodes.
Skeptok, are you aware of the whole Babylon 5 DS9 controversy?
Not the controversy. I remember Babylon, and always thought there was a similarity between the two. Are they saying that the DS9 was not original?
No. There's a couple of websites out there. And I think Dave Cullen did a video about it too. Computing Forever, about the controversy, because Trek was like in its second year of Next Generation. And the people from Babylon 5 went to Paramount and said, hey, we have this great idea for a show. It's called Babylon 5, and it's about this space station that people, can come and visit, and and Paramount looked at it for X amount of time and finally said, no, we don't want it. And then they copied everything and called it DS9.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, even there's even characters that have the same names.
So for the 5 years it took to make and sell Babylon 5, Star Trek was the bane of their existence.
They didn't really compete too much from what I understand. They were on different times and different networks. So it wasn't an issue there about who's going to get viewership. But, and I don't think there was ever any lawsuits or any of that kind of stuff. But if you look at anybody who's compared the two, you were like, oh, yeah, apparently it was. Because it's too much overwhelming. It's avalanche of evidence that, I mean, they even have names of characters, the exact same names of characters.
Wow.
That I didn't know.
Yeah. I guess I can, while you guys are talking, what I'll do is I'll look it up and I'll see if I can come up with some of the DS9.
So here's a topic that I got in a huge argument with my dad about, he likes both franchises, but he's way more of a Star Wars guy than a Star Trek guy. But he insists that Klingons are not religious, and I think he's full of shit.
Well, they believe in hell.
I think Klingons are absolutely religious.
Of course they are.
He's like, no, they're ritualistic. And I'm like, no, they're religious. They believe in heaven and hell. They believe in they have religion. It was a big kerfuffle we had. That Klingons were not religious. Which I think is ridiculous.
I mean, it's one thing to say somebody is ritualistic, but rituals are not self-motivating. Rituals have to be animated by some underlying belief or set of shared ideals or whatever it happens to be. If it's not a religion animating the rituals that surround Vulcan life, especially Vulcan life on Vulcan, what is it?
Vulcans or Klingons?
I mean, I said Vulcans. I'm getting tired.
Because Vulcans are ritualistic.
Yeah,
for sure.
I meant to say Klingons.
No, actually, you're because I was about to say because I even said to Dad, Vulcans are more of a ritualistic people because they're trying to remember their paganistic, if you will, roots and their violent roots, and they do rituals to keep themselves from going back there. Klingons are
like Vikings to me.
Yeah.
Marauding guys. Go out and their language even is all about violence.
It's so true. And they have like their story. They have creation myths. They have like Kalis is a god to them. He's not just like he becomes their emperor, I guess, again.
And warriors who die in battle are elevated to some sort of demigod status.
Yeah.
You know, the souls are not lost. That's clearly a religious belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, there's no doubt about the Klingons. I can't believe I said Vulcans. And study of Vulcan rituals is a very interesting thing. But I meant to talk about Klingons.
I have a couple of the similarities if you want to go over.
Oh, sure.
The stations. This is in several different sections. I'll go over the stations. I'll go over them quickly. Both stations were set in a massive space. Both shows were set on massive space stations with single-digit names: DS9, Babylon 5. Both stations were used to foster peace between former enemies following a terrible war, the Bajoran-Cardassian conflict versus the Earth-Minbari War. Both stations were administered by an Earth-based government, the Federation versus the Northern Alliance. Both stations contain a marketplace for commercial activity that included bars, restaurants, and casinos, the Promenade versus the Zakalo. Both stations received massive weapons upgrades mid-season. Both stations had a security force composed of fighters from two formerly non-aligned governments, Starfleet and Bajor, versus Earth and the Narn. Both stations include sections deemed dangerous that were no longer used by their owners to damage levels of DS9 versus the down below. Under concepts, both shows had an enslaved, deeply religious people fighting to assert itself against the oppressors. Bajorans from the Cardassians versus the Narns from the Centauri. Both oppressive species eventually saw their homeworlds devastated by a result of war. Both shows featured enigmatic godlike entities revealed as deities by less advanced beings. Both enigmatic god species had evil counterparts. Both shows featured a grand story arc with aliens infiltrating Earth's government. Both shows involved a planetary civil war on Bajor versus on Earth. Both shows featured a Shadow Department. Both shows, during the first episode of the third season, added small armored spaceships. And then under the commanders, both stations' commanders, Ben Sisko and Jeffrey Sinclair and John Sheridan, were traumatized by a recent war with a devastating enemy, the Borg versus
and they all begin with S.
Yeah, both stations' commanders recently lost a wife, Sisko and Sheridan. Both stations' commander had independent ship captains for girlfriends, Cassidy Yates, Carol Sykes. Both stations' commanders remarried during the series. Both stations' commander eventually became spiritual leaders. Under the crews, both stations had an everyman type character, Miles O'Brien, Michael Garibaldi. Both shows featured an idealistic doctor hiding a secret. Both shows has a major female character replaced by another during the final season. Both shows had a recurring character who ultimately turned traitor. Under bonus similarity, this is the one that catches me. It's a bit of a stretch, but both characters had characters with names pronounced exactly the same. Dukat and Lita, though different spellings for each side. So there was somebody in, but I know in the DS9 there was Dukat, obviously was the bad guy, and Lita was the Dabo girl. I don't know Babylon 5. I saw it once a long time ago, but there was apparently somebody in there called Dukat and somebody there called Lita as well. So I read to you what, 20 or 30 of about 60 or 70 similarities. It really goes on and on and on about them. So yeah, they were. Remember, Paramount had everything about Babylon 5s in their hands for weeks before they gave it back and said no. So they had plenty of time to study it and copy it.
I do know that, you know, in the distribution of it, when they were selling Deep Space Nine, they were saying, hey, they were saying to affiliate stations, if you take Babylon 5, we will not sell you Deep Space Nine.
Oh, really?
Damn. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There was brutal competition. That was the part that I heard about, was as part of a business case later on. About,
oh, shit. We have a viewer. Hi, Ghost Dog.
That's interesting. I didn't know about there was actually aftermarket competition between the two, because they ended up being such different shows.
Very different.
In visual. and action and acting.
But one was Warner's and one was Paramount.
Right.
They were at war with each other.
Well, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. You guys were already on a different subject, right?
No, we were just kind of waiting for that. What was I? Oh, speaking of everyman, Miles O'Brien. Okay, people either really like him or don't like him at all, and I
How
don't.
could you not like Miles?
I don't know, but there are people I've run into that are like, "Oh, I hated O'Brien," and I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "He is so one-dimensional," and I'm like, "No."
Well, he's everyday. He's an everyday guy. So to another everyday guy, he was seen one-dimensional because you're exactly like him. But that's the whole purpose of him, was to be that guy that's not a Bajoran or, somebody crazy. He's supposed to be just you or me, so that people can identify.
But see, he's been through crazy shit.
Well, the whole Pegasus thing,
No, the Cardassian War.
right?
He was on the front lines of the Cardassian War.
Well, you see that in the Pegasus, the episode, the Pegasus, where they had the ship that was able to.
That's a Riker episode.
Yeah, but who talks the other captain down? Miles beams over.
That's that episode's called The Wounded.
Right.
That one.
What was the name of the ship? What wasn't it? The Pegasus?
The Rutledge.
Oh, the Rutledge.
You're
I'm mixing
thinking
up 2 episodes, right?
Yeah, you're mixing up a season 7 episode and a season 4 episode. The Wounded was an episode about Miles's old captain,
Right.
and he was suspecting a Cardassian and another Cardassian invasion.
Right.
But no one would listen to him, and Miles had to talk him down.
Right. And it turned out he was right.
And he was right. And Miles knew he was right, but he also knew that Captain Picard couldn't allow Captain Maxwell to continue doing what he was doing. So he's
Miles O'Brien hated the Cardassians.
He did.
He did, in a big way.
Those bloody Cardies.
Cardies.
Yeah, didn't the Cardassians kill somebody that he knew? Like a family or something?
He was in charge of. He tells the story to Keiko. I think it's Keiko in that episode that I'm talking about. He's telling the story to a Cardassian aide of Gul, whatever his name is.
Gul Macet.
Macet, yeah. And he's saying that he was in charge of some civilians. And some Cardassians broke into where they were hiding and started shooting people. And one of the women threw him a phaser, and he didn't realize it was on stun or on kill.
Kill, yeah.
And he killed the Cardassian.
That's why he hated him, because
they
made him a killer.
Yeah, and he's like, I felt bad. I used to feel bad about killing a mosquito. And I ended up killing one of you people. And
that was the first thing you ever killed, though, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I remember that.
And it's and then some of the episodes in DS9 that I've seen that I liked are one of the ones that center around, or some of the ones that center around him.
The show wasn't bearable until Worf came on board.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. The Worf and Odo dynamic, I love it.
Yes, I did. I like that too, very much.
How do you deal with living with these people? It was so awesome.
What always gets me about Worf is every time you see him, especially in the movies, is the Klingon music that comes up behind him.
Yeah.
Every time you see him, it's dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Dun, dun. It's like, all right, we know he's a Klingon.
Yeah,
Relax
we don't
already.
need the Klingon music. Thank you.
It does give me a little bit of a chill, though.
Yeah.
That's something about Star Trek that I'll always argue with somebody who says, "Oh, Star Trek this or Star Trek that." There are points in Star Trek that give me chills, and people look at it. Oh, it's just a sci-fi show. There are parts in that show throughout its 750 televised episodes and 9 movies and all that kind of stuff that don't have anything to do with science fiction. They pull at your heart, and they evoke a response. It's not just, wow, look at those phasers.
I'll tell you right now, there is a scene. There's actually 2 scenes, but they hinge around the same theme, and they make me cry, like full out bawl.
All right, which ones are they? Tell me the 2.
The first one is at the very end of The Inner Light.
Okay.
When Captain Picard is playing his flute in his quarters again, when he's back. Yeah. And then the second one is when he's dating that commander, and they're playing the same tune. Like, he shows her the tune that he learned in that other life, and she accompanies him on her keyboard. And they're up in the, I don't know where they're up in like the middle of the ship with all the good acoustics, and it's just those 2 scenes. I don't know if it's because of the musician in me, but I just I go to pieces, and it has nothing to do with science fiction.
They're in a catwalk that runs adjacent to the warp nacelle.
That's
a long tube. What gets me, this is a movie, this is not the show. The only place that ever gets me where I'm like, oh shit, I can't watch this part, it just tugs at me too hard, is I think it's at the end of Wrath of Khan, where they're jettisoning Spock's body, and Kirk's doing the eulogy. Yeah, it's the only time I've ever heard Bill Shatner's voice crack. Yeah, that gets me every time. Yeah, he goes to say, he's trying to say, of all the souls I have encountered in this universe, his was the most human. And he catches himself. He goes, his was the most, and he stops, and then he says, human. He just kind of runs out.
I love that too.
Oh man, that is such a powerful scene.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. There's somebody like Kirk who you cannot push.
You cannot crack that nut.
No.
He didn't even, his voice didn't even do that when his son died.
No, it didn't.
It was,
he cried, kind of. But
it was like, you Klingon bastard, you killed my son.
It changed tone.
Went immediately to anger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
knocked him on his ass.
With Spock, it was just pure grief.
Yeah.
Like, it was a grief with his son in another way.
But it was like the death of a brother.
Yeah.
Well, he knew Spock all his life.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
He just found out that this guy was his kid. He didn't know.
I'm glad that I never saw that anywhere else in any other movie or the original series, that it was only used that one time, because it makes it so much more powerful. If he did it all the time, it'd be nothing. But did just that once. I wonder whose idea that was. I wonder if it was written in the script that way, or if it was directed that way, or if Shatner brought it himself, or what it was. I really would know that.
I would probably guess he did it himself, because he's a Shakespearean trained actor.
Right. A lot of people don't realize that about him.
Yeah, he's an actor's actor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing that ever gets me. Although the Inner Light does, I definitely, it's definitely sad. When he says to her that he would lose his music if she died, kind of deal. He wouldn't be able to play his music anymore. That was sad. There was a lot of sad parts, but only part that ever catches me is that one part from the movie. And that's what gets me the most. The other flip coin of that is parts where I'm just like, oh, that's so awesome. Are not like fighting a board cube. All right, that's cool. But what gets me are beauty shots, especially where it's accompanied by music. There's a part in the First Contact where Zefram Cochrane and Geordi and Riker are in the warp ship, and they're getting ready to go to warp. And Zefram Cochrane looks down at his at his panel in front of him, and it gets covered by a shadow. And he turns and looks, and the Enterprise is between him and the sun, casting a shadow on the warp ship.
Oh, that would be cool.
and well, it's in, and he looks up at the ship and he says, "Oh my God!" And as he says that, the Enterprise cuts in front of the sun, and you hear the da 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 for a second, and it's like, oh, chills. Right away, I'm like, that is so gorgeous. And the other part is when, before that same movie, they're in the Enterprise and they're listening to the Borg battle in their, and they're in the ship, and Picard says, I'm about to create a breach of protocol. Anybody who has anything against it, say now. And Data, I'm paraphrasing all this, but Data says, I believe I speak for everyone, the hell with our orders. And everyone kind of smiles.
Yeah.
Troy smiles. And the ship turns and goes to warp. And as it's turning, it's facing to the right, and it's level, and it turns towards you and goes up. So you catch like an undershot of it, and the music's playing at that point, and it's just like I just melt when I see that. That there's something about how that never happened. How in like that's the reason why I have such a problem with Star Trek Enterprise, is because they lost that the character of the ship. The ship is a character in the shows. It is a character in the movies. When an Enterprise goes flaming ball through an atmosphere, you feel sad for it.
Yep.
It is the Enterprise. It is a character. In the Star Trek Enterprise, the ship is just a ship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it never caught on. But anyway, but those are the things that make me swell with pride, I guess, maybe, or just get tingles when I see stuff like that.
What about you, Skep?
I'm sorry.
He's asleep. I put him asleep.
No. I'm not asleep. I was completely
enthralled
by my puppy.
I have that effect on people.
No, my puppy walked into my office.
Aww.
I was not paying attention at all. I was hearing you talk and thinking, they're having a nice discussion, and I'm going to make sure this dog does not bark.
I hope you put all your aluminum cans away.
Yeah, I was on a stream the other day, and I had a bunch of recycled cans.
Yep.
This is where we keep them. And I'm sitting there. It was absolutely spontaneous. I didn't throw anything in. I didn't move it or anything. All of a sudden, the bag just splits open and cans start spilling out onto the floor. And they're clanking onto this. It's a hard floor, a tile floor, and making just a hell of a racket. Yeah, so yeah, I got those out of there post haste.
So, of the Star Trek shows and movies, do you have a this made me cry and this made me like?
Oh, I do. I do. Do you remember when Data invented LOL?
Yes, that's another one. Yeah.
I cried like a baby. I was such a.
What part when the Admiral came out and said, "I never saw his hands work so fast, and he could never get ahead of it."
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty powerful.
That was very
not a great actor, but a great line.
It was that was extraordinarily well written episode.
Yeah. It's and it's mentioned in Nemesis how somebody who didn't understand emotions can bring out so much emotion in everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very definitely. You know, one of the most my favorite people are some of the strange ones. Data and Odo, I would say, are two of my favorite characters in the Star Trek canon. Truly. I know it's just weird, but
I'd have to think on that. Because there's a lot of great characters in the show, and how regularly.
I'm not saying the other characters bad. There's so many that I like. Don't get me wrong. So that's why
But if you had to pick
a significant part of my life watching.
But if you had to pick two, those would be your two.
Yeah, I really think so.
Now, who's a Star Trek character that just makes you go, ugh?
But wait a minute, I never got to pick my favorites, and neither did you.
Oh no, I didn't.
Pick your favorite. Well, let's pick our favorites first.
Okay.
You go first. I guess BP is your short term. Everyone calls me Hammer.
BP or Blind.
Okay. I'll go with BP.
All right. My favorites. I'm gonna have to pick a few, but my favorites are definitely Data, Doc. Let me see. I'm not gonna pick any of the captains because I have rankings for them, different rankings for them. But Data, Doc, and honestly, Taurus. I really like Taurus.
Crossed my mind. All right. Okay. Good picks. People are gonna give me shit for this.
Try and cut it down to 2 or 3. That's what I try.
Yeah, I know it's hard.
That's what I tried to do, was to really think of the 2 or 3 that just every single time they're on screen, they command my attention.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick 2. I'm gonna give a category to them. I think the best written character would be 7 of 9.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it. I should have said 7 of 9 also. Yes,
Yeah, because she is not what you expected her to be. She was written completely different, and man, was she an interesting character.
Oh, I forgot.
Not that Jerry Ryan isn't lovely and well put together. That's true too, but her character was just not what I expected. And
No.
it never was. Every time I thought, well, okay, here she's going to turn into a human. Nope. Just when you thought she was going to acquiesce, to Janeway, she'd say, no, that's bullshit. I'm not doing that. Fuck you. And I was like, wow, where did she do that? And then she came up with good reasons for what she said. So 7 of 9.
I love that character. Great choice.
Yeah. And there's something about the original series. I'm gonna have to go with McCoy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's in my next layer of characters.
He is. The thing about him was, I don't think we found any characters in any Star Trek since who were wise. Bones was wise. He wasn't smart. He wasn't quick. He wasn't analytic. He doesn't have any of the things that all the other characters had. But he just
Counselor Troy.
She relies
She's
on her
not
empathy.
wise.
She relies on her empathy to she reads your mind. That she's not wise. She doesn't discern.
Yeah,
it's given to her.
She kind of had a wise manner. You expect her to be a lot wiser than the decision she made.
Yeah, if your emotional state was not consistent with your actions, if you were a psychopath, she was screwed.
Yeah,
Bones could read you for what you were.
That's true. That's true.
It's just you couldn't fool Bones. Bones knew
the experience thing. He took
yeah. The whole country boy, even in the parallel, the new movies and that kind of stuff with J.J. Abrams' universe and all that kind of stuff. Even that character didn't play the knowledgeable, intuitive person that Bones was. Bones would say stuff like, "Ask Jim Kirk, he'd know," and he'd be talking to Kirk and saying that. Things like that. You're like, that's so. I don't even know what to call that. What is that?
Yeah, he says stuff like, "Where I come from, we have a saying," and then he'll lay out some epithet that just perfectly, sums up what the situation is. I agree with you. He really sold the experience thing.
You walk in with a tray, and Kirk said, "I don't want anything to eat," and Bones said, "This isn't anything to eat," and you hand him a drink. It was just like, yes, exactly, yes, perfect.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah, he wasn't analytical. He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't any of those things. But there was just something savvy about him. I guess that's the best word I can come up with. Yeah. That's why he's my pick. So I guess next is the person you hate the most?
Yeah, who's the character that makes you go, oh my god?
Why don't you go first this time, BP?
Okay. Pulaski.
Pulaski.
Oh, what a great pick that is.
When
That is a
I
great pick.
watched season 2, I just grit my teeth and I'm like,
Pulaski.
oh my god, I hate
That's
this
awesome.
chick.
Yeah. That's what was that movie with John Cusack where he owned a record shop?
Oh,
It was with Jack Black. What was it called again? You always quote 5 things in the movie. What was it? I can't remember what was it called.
I can't remember either. I know what movie.
Did you see that movie, Skeptok?
No, I did not.
No. Okay. There's a movie where, and Jack Black and his buddy Dick are trying to pick songs that should be on an album, and his friend picks a song, and Jack Black's reaction is, "Damn, that's so good. That should have been mine." And that's exactly what I was thinking when you picked her. I was like, "Damn, that should have been the one I was thinking of," but it wasn't. Anyway, all right, Skeptok, you're up. Who's the person you hate? Quark. This is awesome because you guys are picking all the guys I hate too. I want to pick them.
Fucking pissed me off every time he opened his mouth. I just wanted to wring his little Ferengi ass. Kill him.
And then whenever you think he's like, you've got him figured out, it's like, okay, he's an asshole. He goes and he does something nice, and you're like,
but
okay.
I didn't believe it. It never felt good. It never was satisfying.
Because you're always like, why? Why
Right.
did you do that? Did
Exactly.
you do that? What? Who are you? Like, when are you going to call in that favor?
Yeah, a heart of gold. Does he really have that heart of gold? Character that I hated, Chakotay.
And why did they have to make him fall in love with 7 of 9? Worst writing choice ever.
What's even worse is they made it so that she couldn't fall in love.
But then she went and she asked Doc to have her thing removed that stopped it. So she could fall in love.
I don't remember
It was just a stupid...
I thought they couldn't remove it. That's just a limitation because she was a Borg and they couldn't remove it.
No, he could remove it. She just didn't want him to at first.
I'll have to go back and watch that episode. I thought she said, I don't want to.
It malfunctioned at first when she was like using the hologram of Chakotay. And then Doc was like, I can remove that for you because your body's rejecting it. And she's like, no, I don't want you to do that, because she was getting scared, I guess. But then in like the finale, I think it is, she asks him to remove it.
I'm going to have to watch Voyager again.
Chakotay was the Indian guy, right?
Yeah. With the face tattoo.
With the face tattoo. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's who I was thinking of. And
he was just boring.
The guy who gets winded when he punches somebody once.
Yeah. Well, I just kept asking, why are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, that was so stupid. You want to do things the Maquis way? Whack. It's like, really? The Maquis is that out of shape? Fuck, no wonder they got nothing done. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just, there was no reason for him to exist in the show. He did nothing. He wasn't even a good foil for her.
Well, he was a Native American. He was an Indian in the show.
So you think his whole reason for being was SJW?
Pretty much.
But they had Torres.
That's my read on it.
They had Torres.
Well, Torres, because she's really, in real life, diverse. Is that what you're saying?
No.
What, because she was half Klingon?
She was half Klingon and her last name was Torres.
That is a lot of oppression points, Hammer.
Yeah. I guess. Female.
Fairly high on the oppression.
Mixed race. Spanish surname.
No.
Okay. Yeah, these are 3 pluses. I got it.
Yeah.
All right. So then we have to pick what best and worst episodes of each show.
Oh yeah, that's hard. But let's try.
Oh man, because you're not going to like this because my
I have clearly picked this many times, so I know what mine all are already. I'm going to go last, though. You guys go first. Pick it, whatever you want.
I actually have to look something up just so I can get the episode name because I can't remember the episode name. Give me just a second here.
You got two. You got two dictionaries right here. Just tell us what it's about.
It's the Star Trek episode where Kirk fights the Gorn.
Arena.
That's it. That's my favorite. That's my favorite episode of all time.
That's a good episode. It's hard to watch for a blind person though, because it's very
Not much talking.
Yeah.
No, there's not. When the Gorn says, surrender, Kirk. I will be merciful and quick.
Yeah.
I just
Did you laugh because there's no way that guy can be quick?
It
takes him 4 seconds to throw a punch. How can he be quick?
Yeah, he staggers around when he tries to throw a punch. No.
All right, so that's
I love
TOS.
that.
What's your TNG episode? Do you have one?
I'm trying to think. It's strange, but it's the one that I find the most potent, and it was the Law episode.
Offspring.
That really moved me.
Yeah.
What was the
Offspring.
episode? Offspring? The Offspring.
Yeah.
Offspring, yeah.
You guys
Did
are
you
good.
watch?
I'm going to come up with.
Did you watch
the episode.
Voyager at all, Skeptok? Or?
No, not. I watched
What?
a little bit of Voyager.
What?
I know. And I just went, I have other things I've got to do.
Oh, come on.
And it wasn't that I didn't like it necessarily. It's just because I had other things in life that competed for attention.
You really didn't watch Voyager?
Now, I really have not watched Voyager.
Well, if you want to watch Voyager, I have it. So I have all the shows on DVDs or Blu-ray, actually.
What do you guys like about Voyager? Talk me into watching Voyager.
No.
I'm now at a point in my life where I could take the time and do.
First, I'm gonna tell you my favorite episodes because.
Yes.
Well, wait a minute. Wait. He hasn't finished.
Oh yeah, because he hasn't done DS9 yet, and he hasn't done what his least favorite ones are either.
Right. So you need to do those first. We'll do our favorites first, and then we'll do all of our ones we hate.
Let's see. DS9. Was it Rules of Engagement?
That's the one. That's
Where
the
Worf,
two
the
part.
one where Worf is on the Defiant. That's what. And there's all these dead Starfleet officers.
I don't remember that one. I'm on episode 20 of season 4 right now, so I'm not all the way through the series.
That was one of those that was just so involved that I didn't care for it.
Did you have one that you liked in DS9? Like the most?
I'm trying to think of one of the ones that I tended to like things where guys were doing fascinating stuff, where there was. I was more about the magic being in space with DS9 than I was about the interaction with smugglers and international diplomats and stuff like that, I think I might have a hard time. I just don't want to, pick one out of the air.
Yeah.
I would probably have to think it over to pick one from DS9 because I watched it a little bit differently than I did Next Generation and Original.
And you didn't see Voyager at all, right?
And Voyager, I can't even.
What about Enterprise? Did you watch any of that?
No,
Neither did I.
I fully blew it off by that time.
Okay. So, you want to go over yours, BP?
Sure. So I am going to limit myself to 2 episodes each.
2? Okay.
Because I love them so much.
Okay. I'm going to limit myself to 1. You can limit yourself to 2. That's fine.
Okay. So for the original series, my favorite one is, I think it's called Menagerie, the one where Spock commandeers the Enterprise and takes it back to the planet that's forbidden. I can't remember the name of the planet now.
Talos 4.
Talos 4.
That's right, Talos 4. To help Captain Pike.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's an awesome episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
And
A tie-in to the pilot.
actually, the pilot was going to be my other choice.
Ah!
And so, and then I'm going to do my other favorites first before I do all my bad
Yep.
ones.
We're
For
doing
next-
first.
For next gen, my favorites, I'm going to go with Best of Both Worlds for one of them. I love that episode. Or 2-parter, I should say. And just for silly factor and fun factor, Deja Q. I love Deja Q. The one where he's human.
Mm-hmm. Cue the ordinary. Cue the misanthrope.
Yeah.
What must I do to convince you? And work goes,
Die.
die.
Right. I remember that one.
What a great line.
For Voyager,
Poor Q.
yeah.
Mhm.
For Voyager, Year of Hell is
Mm.
one of my favorites. And a lesser known episode called One. It's the one where 7 of 9 is left alone with Doc for a month as they traverse the nebula.
The void, right?
That one has a bit of a personal spot for me because when I was younger, I used to have some pretty bad mental health issues. So I kind of related to 7 of 9 when her implants were malfunctioning and she was like hearing shit, and yeah, it's so, and then DS9, I've only gotten to season 4. I've said, so I think I'm only gonna pick 1 for DS9, and that one's Hard Time.
Okay.
That one's an uncomfortable one to watch, but it's a good one. Mostly because I really enjoy Cole Meany's acting in that one.
Okay.
And so for my least favorite ones,
Whoa! You forgot a series.
I didn't watch Enterprise.
You didn't watch it? What's wrong with you guys?
I watched.
You call yourself Star Trek
I
fans?
watched a couple of episodes and went, "Why is the Vulcan showing emotion?"
Right.
This is confusing
so many
to me.
continuity and style breaks. Yeah, I watched like 2 episodes and I was like, I can't even stomach another.
Let me go through all my favorites. Skeptok went through all his favorites. You're going to throw all your favorites. Let me go through all my favorites. Then we'll go back around.
That makes sense.
Go through all the things we hate.
Good call, Hammer.
I didn't see all of. I'm still in the process of rewatching DS9 to make it fresh, so I can't make a call there. So I'm going to just do 4 series.
Okay.
From the original series, Doomsday Machine.
Oh, that's a good
Oh
one.
yeah, that was a good one.
A couple of things about the Doomsday Machine that really got it for me. It was the first episode where we saw the walk around on the bridge, where they started at the turbo lift, went all the way past the front, rounded all the way back around to Spock Station, and they did it twice, not just once. Only show to ever do it. And of course, the whole performance from Decker. I saw it straight out of hell. I mean, that don't you think I know that? Those things that actor brought, that fucking acting was just by far blew it away from every other episode of the original series. That guy was an amazing actor. For me, Next Generation, Beverly Crusher episode called Remember Me. People on the Enterprise are dying and she's caught in a warp bubble. People on the Enterprise are disappearing, not dying, disappearing. And she can't figure out why. And when she says, there's nothing wrong with me, there has to be something wrong with the universe. Here's a question you can't answer. What is the nature of the universe? And the Enterprise computer says it's a spherical object all around the outside of the ship. Yeah. She's like, that's not right. So that was a great episode. And the fact that she hugs Picard at the end. Yeah, that was notable. And the fact that there was a mistake in the show left in by that they forgot to take out, because at that point he turns around before she hugs him. He turns on, he looks off camera and then looks back to her. And we never get shown what he's looking at off camera. But supposedly an actor had a line there. But they left a mistake in the show. Oh. So that's that. That's cool. Voyager. Like I said, I'm going to skip DS9. Voyager's going to have to be Scorpion Part 2. Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. What got me was they talk about the whole idea of how the Scorpion couldn't float across the water on the back of the dog because he stung him, and he said, "Why'd you sting? We're both gonna die. It doesn't matter. I'm a Scorpion. That's what I do. You can't change me. I am a Scorpion." So you don't know that Janeway and Chakotay have made a plan to deal with what 7 and 9's gonna do, and they know she's gonna do it because that's the whole point of the whole Scorpion story is that you can't change a person. Well,
that's really Aristotelian first principle, isn't it?
Yeah, the point where Janeway taps her badge and says Chakotay, Scorpion. The way she says that, best acting Kate Mulgrew's ever done. Yeah. Love that specific scene, was just fucking fantastic. So that's what got it for me. Because the whole time you're like, oh shit, Chakotay's in trouble. Yeah. Like you think for the whole time until that happens that he's like been confined to quarters until this is over because he fucked up. Right. You know what I mean? Like intentionally misled the audience, but they had to mislead 7 of 9 as well. Exactly. Yeah. And then finally for Enterprise, my episode would be in Silent Intruder. That is the episode where the Enterprise first uses its brand new, recently installed and created phasers. Before that, they're just using torpedoes that I can outrun. When they actually use phasers and they make a mistake and they say, okay, we're just going to take a little shaving off the top of that mountain, and there's a feedback and it blows half of the planet away. Oh, that's like, that fucking rules. Oops. Yeah. So they come up against another ship and they use their phasers, but they use them in the normal way and they're not very effective. And Scott Bakula says, well, can you overload them again? And they do overload them again, and they beat the other ship. That's God, a cool episode. So those are my favorites. So now it's up to you guys to pick up your worst.
Skep, did you? I think
there was one in the original series was probably the one that I liked the least, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was the one where they go to the planet where everything's okay and everybody just wants to sniff flowers and
I remember that episode. I know you were talking about
play the guitar and all that sort of thing.
And Spock gets emotions
from
the plants, the spores.
It just made me cringe. I didn't like that. I can't really say I have strong negative feelings about anything else. There were a couple in Next Generation, or not in DS9, that were just too involved. It was like they just overplotted
Mm.
but nothing that really stands out. So I'll just stand pat with that one.
I've got. I didn't like the one where they were stuck on the planet with the children.
Oh,
In the original series, the
Miri.
yeah,
The episode was called Miri.
Mary, yeah.
I actually like that one.
It's I don't know it's maybe it's supposed to be annoying. They're kids, but I don't know. It just I never really got into it. My next gen is gonna be Sub Rosa. It's a season 7 episode. It's the one where Crusher's grandmother passes away, and she's falls in love with that stupid candle ghost person thing. I hate that episode so very much, especially because Gates McFadden had some really good moments in that series.
I like the on-screen orgasm. I'll give that a plus.
Yeah, but that was overdone.
Was watching Gates McFadden, who runs a classic theater company, wiggle and wriggle on the set. Yeah, that was like, oh my god, I can't believe this person is playing that part. I was like, holy mackerel.
Voyager, I really didn't like the episode called Remember Me.
That's the one I just picked as being my favorite.
No, that's Remember. The titles are stupid close. Remember is the next gen episode that you picked. Remember Me is in where they have a race of telepaths on board Voyager, and they've basically exterminated a part of their population because they wanted to go back to living a more basic lifestyle.
I have to call you on this one. Star Trek TNG season 4 episode 05 disc 7 Remember Me.
Okay, so they're back. I got it backwards.
Yeah,
Remember Me is for next gen. Right. And Remember is for Voyager.
Okay.
And that's a season 3 episode for Voyager, season 3 episode 6.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just I like B'Elanna Torres, but I just didn't like that episode at all. It had a good premise, but again, it was just I think she overdid it in the acting a little bit, which I had trouble with. And then let's see, DS9. I'm gonna go with the first Grand Nagus episode. I didn't like that one at all. There's a couple of Nagus ones that I do like.
That episode was actually called The Nagus.
The Nagus, yeah. I'm not as familiar with the episode titles of DS9 as I am with the others. But yeah, the Nagus, I didn't like that one at all, which is weird because I do like, I think his name is Walter Shawn or Wallace Shawn or something like that. I really do like him, and I do like some of the other Nagus episodes, but just not that one.
Okay. Skeptok, do you want to go?
I already gave.
He went first.
Oh, did you give yours? Oh, okay, then it's my turn.
Yeah, it's your turn, and then we're probably gonna wrap it up a little bit.
Good deal. Yeah. All right, so I'll go through these pretty quickly. For the original series, Turnabout Intruder. It was the last episode of the series, and it was pretty horrible. Kirk and this chick swap bodies, and she's just a feminist and can't handle herself.
Oh, Yeah.
What a terrible episode that was.
I
That
remember
was
that
a
one.
The
terrible
fact that it
episode.
ended the show was another thing that made it even worse. It's like dying on a whimper.
Yep. I always
Um,
thought that was a boring episode.
Yeah. Then Next Gen, Dark Place. It was about Troy's mom, about how she hid the fact that Deanna Troy's
Oh,
daughter died, or
yeah.
Deanna Troy's sister died. Very terrible episode, Dark Place. DS9, it's got to be Move Along Home. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody agrees that it's the worst one, and I agree with them. It is the worst one. I did watch it though. For Voyager, it would have to be The Fighter. It was the episode where Chakotay is a boxer, and he's trying to figure out his brain, and he's doing it as a boxer. It was terrible. It was a terrible episode.
I liked that episode. And I feel stupid. I shouldn't have picked Remember. I should have picked Dark Frontier for Voyager. Because that one really pissed me off.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, for Enterprise, the episode was called Stormfront. After doing a 13 episode arc for the Xindi, they finally destroyed the Xindi weapon, and instead of celebrating, they jumped directly into this 2-part episode called Stormfront about Nazi aliens on the planet in an alternate timeline from the Cold War, the temporal Cold War.
Okay.
Nazi aliens.
White people are bad.
What the fuck? Well, these guys were gray. They were so white that they were gray. Literally, they were like putty gray. But it was poorly written, poorly executed, and probably the worst possible place to put those episodes. They needed to put in a celebration episode before they got right into another bad problem right back to back. It really killed the series when that happened. They did not greenlight a fifth season because of that episode. I think it was just so bad. Everybody hated it. So
I'm so impressed with both of your command of the names of the episodes. That's one thing I've never really concerned myself with. And I guess maybe I should. Maybe I'm not a proper fan. But I'm just amazed that you can remember them all.
I'm taking your fan card away from you right now.
I am such a freaking nerd about TNG and Voyager that if I have trouble sleeping, I will pick a series and I will close my eyes and I will start from episode 1 and I will name the titles.
Wow.
Until I fall asleep.
That's impressive.
That is dedication. Not weird at all.
Oh, it's incredibly weird.
Nobody's judging on this call.
Yeah.
I'm just impressed, and I'm sorry that I'm not up to.
Oh,
not,
don't
you guys
be sorry.
If the show,
I'm deficient.
If the show had some kind of important idea to it, I have a tendency to remember the episode name. If it was really shitty or really good or interesting in some way or had some specific thing that it pointed out, like it would stick in my mind. But if it was just another average run of the mill episode, then no, I won't remember it.
Yeah.
I really wish Polly had been here tonight.
I don't follow Polly on Twitter, and I should.
He never tweets.
Yeah, he never tweets. Okay. I follow.
So he's a good person. Yeah, he's a good person to follow. He never tweets.
I do plan on doing a few more Star Trek type streams at some point. So
need to get him on board.
One we'll get him on. But I think we will wrap it up. I want to thank you guys for waiting, first of all, and helping us figure all of the technical stuff out, and then sticking around for a good amount of time and having a good conversation. That was really awesome.
I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on my very first stream.
Congratulations on your first stream.
Yeah. Hey, Hammer, you and I are plank holders on on her first string.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Awesome.
We can say we knew her when.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
thanks so much for coming out. And Skep, I guess I will see you on Sunday.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. And Hammer, you and of course any minion are welcome any night I'm presenting.
Absolutely.
If you feel like coming on, just let me know you want to be on, and you will be flipped a link.
Awesome sauce.
Love to have you anytime, sir.
Or maze balls would be another word.
There you go.
Amazeballs.
Amaze balls. I like that.
All right.
So,
Well, having a good night, everybody.
a
Thanks.
tutorial, Miss Emmy.
All right. And where's the stuff?